Okay.
Oh, you want to switch again then?
I think I remember yours though,
Oh,
because I relate.
All right.
Betty chose the experiences she has from working with and being around her grandchildren and having them at her house. And the kinds of adjectives that she used were excited, which is key in any, engagement. Ongoing, which is good, which means she has a real commitment to being a grandma. She doesn't lie down on the floor and turn the lights out when they come in the driveway. She's creative, so she thinks of interesting things for them to do, and that's probably one of the reasons they keep coming, because she feels blessed, and so she has a passion for this whole situation, and she feels renewed. So I think you can't ask more for a connection that we feel all those things.
Well, Suzanne is an artist we have in our midst, and she does watercolor and has for almost 20 years now. And her adjectives are focused. Well, you have to figure out what you're doing on the you use paper usually?
Special
Okay.
paper.
Special paper. And she's often anticipating if she's working on a commissioned piece, what the other person is looking for, and anticipating how this might turn out, and anticipating if there's a commission involved. That's always good. She's motivated because she wants to create this new piece of work, and it's exciting. She's excited because it's something maybe she's not done before completely, and it's a whole new vision and something new that she's come up with. And she's intensely involved. And let's see. Because it doesn't happen all the time. And her support is, she gets a lot of support from her family. So, and of course, having a commission when you finish is so nice. Motivating.
Great. Can we start with Marion next?
Oh, okay. Molly is a sales trainer, and she loves her job. And she's, I wouldn't want to say excitable, but I could say excitable.
I'm boring.
The way she talked about her job, but she loves it, and it's so much fun, and to watch people understand something and get something new is just like the greatest feeling. So I just love listening to her on that. So she likes sharing things while she's doing this training and helping others and seeing those aha moments. So some of those aren't adjectives, but I had a hard time, developing the right adjective without putting words in her mouth. So
I did too.
Yeah.
These are not adjectives.
So
Thank you, Molly.
Yes, so Miriam used to be a chemist with 3M, and she worked 1 million hours a day and decided that she was done with all that jazz. And so she's been working very actively within the league, as probably a lot of you know, for several years. And she mentioned that she really loves working on this convention and really likes bringing the people together because it's impactful. We all learn something and we all get something out of these couple days, and it might be really tiring, but it's worth it. It's gratifying, kind of, again, having those people come together and have the aha moments and really understand why league membership is important and what it can do for everybody. It's interesting, and she's interested. Sometimes it can be challenging because she's a bit of an introvert, so it's hard for her. She at the end of the time, she's like, oh, I'm exhausted. So that's challenging, and there's probably challenging people within all of our organizations, and it's hard to bring them together and see the common goal. But she likes to have fun, and she likes the fact that we're all a big team.
Good, yeah, great. How about Florence and Sherry? Did you want to?
Okay. Well, just meet the star.
absolutely.
The star of the show, even though she's working the camera. This is Sherry. Really found her pinnacle or peak experience through the League of Women Voters as a lobbyist at the legislature in the 2011 session while they were working on the voter ID. Voter ID lobbying allowed her to express a lot of the skills that she had. It was just really a perfect fit for her. And voter ID was such an important issue, not just to the League, but to the whole of democracy. So she found her skills being fully utilized during that period of time. And no, the 2011 legislature didn't go our way, but she didn't quit there. The whole issue had its momentum, and we all know it is now history that we are not denying votes to more people through a constitutional amendment. Many, many thanks to Sherry and to the people who really gave that voice and energy. But she says that the people around her were so important. Her partner in life, her husband, has been unbelievably supportive as she spends more hours than her family really needs for her to spend, or that she might, necessarily is good for everybody. But he is so supportive that he doesn't make demands on her that really curtail her from what she's doing, her passion at the moment. So we're grateful for that. And she also really enjoyed being involved with the community, a group of people who were equally passionate about the issue. And working together, everybody got energy around it. So thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Florence. Florence is her peak experience has been becoming a SURE fellow and working as a leader in the MLD program. She values the national contacts and perspectives that she's gained, and through those national contacts and perspectives, she's learned that LWV Minnesota is great. We have lots of talents and skills and energy, and we can also learn from others around the country. She feels support from the board. She said she was really excited the first time the MLD program was on the board agenda. And she also feels supported by members and staff. And one of the ways that she gets support is how it's MLD program is being integrated into all the program areas, action, voter service, and other things. And so I think there's a synergy there among with MLD and all the program areas that the League has. And we greatly value our SURE fellow.
Thank you. Oh, now we can see that.
Oops.
Oh, boy.
Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have it within you, the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. That's a Harriet Tubman. Yes. Okay, and then I'll collect the stars and we'll post them for everyone to see. And I'll turn this back on.
It might be important to put the name of the person on the star, just in case we don't remember their tremendous attributes.
Okay. And then we'll go on to Florence. Are you trying to
Ready?
do-
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm trying to get to our presentation.
And you're doing what?
Maybe we just want to welcome Kathy.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kathy, would you introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm Kathy Welchel. I'm with the Anoka Blaine Coon Rapids League. And I was a coach this past year with the MLD program, and my group was St. Louis Park and Eastern Carbon County. And these, they really were doing really well. So I said, geez, you're doing a great job. And I got a lot of ideas from the groups that I coached to bring back to our league. The other thing I did this year that I really was excited about, I became a lot coach for the leaders of today and tomorrow. And I was paired with a woman who is graduating from St. Thomas this coming Saturday, and I'm going to be in her graduation. She's from Ghana, and she has been accepted at Emory University, and she wants to go into public health and eventually go back and give back to her country. But what was really cool is that Aggie Lighthizer, who's with the St. Louis Park Group, is in the public health department for the state. So I got them together, and she was able to sit in on some conferences, and then her name is Allie, and Allie was also on a governor's internship. So I said, well, do you have any idea how the governor's gonna go on this voter stuff? And she said, nope, nobody knows what the governor's gonna do. So I found that to work with young people, a woman who was very focused, very bright, and very passionate, and I thought that there's hope here, right? There's really hope, and so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about this
You
week.
miss your teaching days.
Oh, I have to have students, right? So I've connected with the student government at Anoka Ramsey Community College, and I feel very strongly that we need to look at student government at both high school and college levels to seek our new blood.
Thanks, Kathy. That's a great point. You're going to be working on that with your next league. So great. Thank you.
You really haven't gotten to share your story, though, either.
Which story is that?
Well, you got to share part of it, and some of these people heard it, but, you know, what is your passion? What are the things, how would you answer those star questions? You made us do it, come on now, you can do it.
Oh, come on.
Yes, yes.
Pony up.
Well,
You have 2 minutes.
you know, you start the league and you think, well, I'll find out what's going on in the world. And then you have children and you think, oh, I'm too busy. I can't do this. But my league was Golden Valley at that time. They said, well, you can't quit. You need us now more than ever. And so I kept on, moved to Plymouth, and became the president there and worked at local issues, then got involved with the state board and was talking to state legislators, visiting them and that. And then Judy Stutzman, who was president at that time, hooked me up with Oxfam. I became a ambassador on the planet, or a sister on the planet ambassador for Oxfam. And through that, we were partnering with them because they had a program about women around the world that were in poverty. And the women produce 70 to 90% of the food in the world. And Oxfam helps address that and targets a program. And we were trying to get legislation passed that the climate bill would offer some support to that. It didn't come through, but I was there a couple of times lobbying senators and representatives at the national capital. So you just start somewhere and you keep going, and you never know where League is going to take you. And today I'm doing something new with PowerPoint. So we're always learning in League. Thanks, Florence.
I think the really cool thing that I heard just recently from Deb is, well, we can figure it out. I mean,
That's good.
she's a, yep, we're gonna do it. And that's such a positive attitude. I have the privilege of introducing the appreciative inquiry approach to coaching. And it is really a wonderful opportunity, but I heard it from Deb's mouth when she said, yes, we can do it. Because it's really an easy thing to get stuck in the negative. And this is an interesting statistic here. In reviewing over 30 years of psychological research, it was found that there were 45,000 studies on depression and 300 on joy. Is there any, I mean, that's probably why we get stuck in the negative.
Well, people who are joyful don't usually wind up on the psychiatrist.
And they do a lot of
happy.
Too happy. So, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. And so today, we'll be helping you to focus on those eyes that have the positive. And really look for the positive, and celebrate the positive, and help people to find the positive in their lives. The appreciative inquiry is an area that our training as SURE fellows came from Jim Franzik, who actually put this whole thing together. And he just is such a dynamic and wonderful leader in his approach to leadership. So you elevate an issue through inquiry. You're positive about that. And it broadens and builds strength. It doesn't break down, it builds up as you approach it that way. It activates energy. People get enthused and excited. It attracts other people to be a part of that. And it elevates and extends, broadens and builds positive actions and outcomes. How much better can it get? Appreciative inquiry. We all hear that word appreciative, and my husband, I had to tell him, okay, well, what about this? What is this all about? Well, we know that to appreciate something is to recognize the best in people in the world around us, to affirm past and present strengths, successes, and potentials, to perceive those things that give life, health, vitality, excellence to living systems, to increase the value. The economy has appreciated in value. Sometimes it doesn't, but we're really joyful when it does. So appreciate is a pretty good word for us. And to inquire is to explore and discover, to ask questions, to be open to seeking new potentials and possibilities. The synonyms for that mean a whole lot. Discover, search, and study. That means that we're always learning, and we're always open to new learning. So the change begins the moment we ask a question. We use, by the words that we use, and the words we pay attention to, they create our experience of the world. Really think about that. How positive words make a difference in your own life. It takes a positive many times over to overcome one negative.
Just ask your husband.
Okay? So the negative, if we could shelve it more often and live in a positive way, that would really create a different environment. Every day we get up and we make a choice on what we'll focus on. Well, I don't think we got to make a choice this morning. We're here. We chose to be here. I think it's been really interesting to be doing the program. It's just an incredible thing. Will it be broken, whatever it is we're trying to do? Or will it be on what is possible and on our strengths? We're working hard to make it possible and really focusing on our strengths. So the words that we use create the framework for our lives, and we choose how we look at things and how we talk about them. We make a choice every time we open our mouths about how we're going to be presenting ourselves. So here's the art of asking questions. What's the biggest problem here? Or the affirmative approach. What possibilities exist that we've not thought about yet? We're not going to necessarily focus on problems, we're going to be looking at possibilities. What do we have to do to correct what's not working? Well, what's the smallest change that could be made to make the biggest impact? That's the affirmative approach. Why do we miss the mark so often? What solutions would have us all win? That's the difference between a deficit approach, more negative, and the affirmative approach, more positive. Inquiry and change are simultaneous. Asking questions influences change. My kids used to say, "Mom, not 20 questions." And here I'm being affirmed for asking questions. I think, oh, my children have so much to learn. Yes. So the whole idea is influencing change by asking positive questions, affirmative questions, questions that direct our attention and direct our experience. What are the morale issues on your LWB board? Or what excites you about working on this board? Absolutely there are issues. But what's exciting? What keeps you going? What makes this all worthwhile? Every moment is full of an infinite array of possibilities. We can only see what we have grown an eye to see, and that's what we're working on here today. That picture has all kinds of really interesting things in it, but I'm sorry that you cannot really see it. But if you, well, you know, I mean, an artist's eye can pick things up really quickly. The rest of us have to really be intentional about seeing that there's something in there. Look at the strengths and for opportunities. And new things will emerge. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the people to gather the wood, divide the work, and give the orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. Expect to be inspired. If you can't see the picture of what you want to have, it's going to be hard to motivate getting to that point. So help people to see the picture, to articulate the picture, and then figure out, how do we get there together? When we seek to bring out the best in others, we somehow bring out the best in ourselves. That says a lot. If you're looking for good things, you'll find them. And we'll be a better person for it. To be effective is to engage others with the right positive questions at the right time. Okay, I think that the first thing that drew my eye was that picture. We don't usually think of them in this way. Most social realities, schools, hospitals, stock exchanges, political parties, churches, are actually actualizations of ideas that once existed only in the minds of a few women and men. This is true of abolition of slavery, the replacement of monarchies with republics, and other progress that we've made. And we, as League members, recognize the same idea that women had the right to vote. We were being denied the right to vote, not because we were not valuable, but because we were being denied it. So the vision was to get the vote. The appreciative inquiry process is one of discovery, identifying strengths, possibilities, coming from our positive core. Dreaming, creating collective vision based on a positive core, okay? Knowing that if it's out there, if we can imagine it, we can make it happen. Designing the design that we have, developing the infrastructure to implement the dream. Okay, so we know what it is we want. Then you start creating the possibilities for reaching that and getting there. And we surely had that experience with the voter ID. and with the marriage legislation that just passed. I mean, those are incredible things that have happened that are unprecedented in our minds. I mean, it was a total, is this ever going to happen? And it happened because we dreamed it. We designed the way to get there. We participated in that action. We made it happen, and we got there. Vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision passes the time. Vision with action can change the world, and we're into that. Our world can be ourselves, our family, our community, our league collectively as Minnesota League, our league collectively as the U.S. Our league as it impacts the entire world. Oxfam. The appreciative inquiry approach for coaching fosters elevation of a person, of an idea through inquiry. Inquiry meaning asking positive questions, questions that help people to get to a place where they can articulate what it is that's possible. It's positive. It broadens and builds on the strengths of people, helps them to recognize this is possible. It gets people energized, excited, enthused, and thank you for each of you for taking that up and saying yes, there's possibilities. And it elevates and extends, broadens and builds positive actions and outcomes, and we're on a roll. In Minnesota, we're growing the League of Women Voters. That is the vision that started with the implementation of the MLD. Just want you to note that the appreciative coaching was built on all of these people. David Copperrider, Diana Whitney, Amanda Trost-Bloom, Jacqueline Baskorbit-Kelm, Jacqueline and Tojo, I can't say that.
Catch and carry?
That catch and carry? Oh, that's really neat. That's a neat, yeah. Catch and carry, that's as good as Nap gets sick. Okay, Marjorie Schiller. These are people who have created this positive approach. And we, as a league, are very grateful to Jim Franzik for bringing it to us. Remember, when you focus on what you're moving into, miracles happen. So the fox in the house. Now we can turn on the thing, and these can be passed around. Here are some pieces of information to share. Share these ones too. Yeah.
You got one?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh my goodness. We get another 15 minutes to talk about what we've just been talking about. That's pretty exciting. This picture, you got it. Okay. When you focus on what you're moving to, miracles happen. Maybe I'd like to just ask the question, and you can think about it a little bit. Take that picture and tell me, what are you seeing? What miracle do you think is going to evolve in this picture? What is it? What's that picture trying to drive toward?
Florence, for the people watching, could you just say what the picture is? Because I'm not sure my picture.
Okay, that it
picks
shows up.
very well.
This is a picture. This is the way I see this picture. It's a group of dogs, and I don't know the breed. Does anybody know the breed?
Hounds.
The hounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And by George, there's a little fox in the middle of the pack of hounds. Kind of turns things upside down. All right. Anybody want to start with what idea does this, what does this inspire
Well,
you?
obviously, he's so clever that the rest of the hounds around him have figured out that he's a fox. They think he's just the rest of the pack.
One of the pack.
Also
Well,
that you
they're
can
all
make
focused
strange
on the
allies.
same thing, whatever it is, and they're so focused on something that's out of the picture that they're not looking next to them.
Suzanne, what did you say?
I said people sometimes choose strange allies for a bigger goal than
Yeah.
what divides them.
That's right.
That
That's
is,
right.
mhm.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Okay, very good. Any other thoughts come up for you with this picture?
I think it's, it also shows, I mean, the fox is brave to be there, but it also shows the level of acceptance that we can have for those who are different.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very, very,
That's
very
good.
interesting. Yes.
This sounds
If-
like a small thing too, but I'm guessing that the dogs are well fed.
They weren't
Well.
hungry? Okay. Any other thoughts on this? I mean, it really touched me deeply to hear you say that, you know, if we can look beyond the differences and we don't live our lives looking at things as different, that we have a great deal more opportunity for growth. The pamphlet that you received, it's called Tips for Appreciative Inquiry Coaching. This is again a visual reminder on the piece, creating opportunities for equal voice. Means ensuring equal airtime for everybody. Not allowing persons who have an easy time dominating to not dominate. It's amazing what happens. Maybe some of you are familiar with the Native American approach to conversation, the talking stick circle. Talking stick circle. The talking stick well, Lynn, welcome.
Thank you.
We'll have to take time for her to tell us a little more about herself too.
Just keep going.
Okay, here's what we're talking to right now. In the talking stick circle, people are literally in a circle. Every person is equal to every other person in that circle. And the person holding the stick can say whatever it is they need to say. When they have finished saying it, the stick moves to the next person. You can choose to speak or you can choose to pass the stick around. That stick continues to go around the circle until no one has anything else to say about the issue that's being discussed. Everyone has an equal voice, and it's really a neat concept. The focus on the affirmative. We talked about that. Anybody remember how many studies there are on depression?
45,000.
45,000. I was remembering 46, but 45 is darn close. I'm sure. Yeah, it's a lot. And how many studies are there on joy?
300.
300. And so we do have quite a bit of negativity to overcome, but we need to know that what we're moving toward is the affirmative, to actions that make a difference. Also, when we know that we're in a positive frame, it makes it easier to overcome the negatives that do come our way. Okay? Helping people to speak from the inside out. Sharing their hopes, dreams, passions that are rooted in our own experiences. And encouraging others to do the same. We had some questions that we got to work with, and Lynn wasn't with us when we got to do that with the STAR exercise. But if you have some information you can share with Lynn so that she's ready to share with us based on those questions, by chance, the STAR questions, because It helps to get to know what really makes people feel good about themselves and really shine. It helps us to know that. Giving away power. League members, league leaders are very often viewed as powerful voices. Our challenge, most often, is to share that voice. Okay? Make sure that we're always giving that voice to someone else, because everyone has a voice. Anybody have some thoughts you'd like to share on that particular piece? What are ways that a person who tends to be a little more quiet can be helped to give voice to what they feel, what their vision is? What are some tools, some things that you can do to help somebody?
Ask questions. That's the biggest thing.
Particularly open-ended questions, so
You don't
you don't
force
get
an
a
answer.
yes or no answer, right?
Maybe give them a chance to write it, to contribute it, rather than speaking it out loud. The pregnant pause. Giving people time to say something.
I think that's really important that you bring that up, because when I first started training, I had this fear of silence. Like, oh my gosh, nobody's saying anything, I better start talking again. But sometimes it just takes people to really think about it and, okay, I want to share this, I want to get this out. So not being afraid of the silence, I think, is along those lines.
Be sure that they succeed is the last one. Catch people doing things right. Ooh, wow. Okay, and publicly recognize them for it. I had, again, in just recently through League, another pinnacle experience. We had this opportunity to do the Making Democracy Work Award in our local league to a community member. I could not believe how incredibly well that person received that recognition. It was as if nobody in our community had ever said a positive thing to her. And it's an exciting piece. Anyone else have any other experiences like that, not necessarily league related, where you've seen some miracles happen because of a positive approach with that person?
Well, and I was in charge of a program for students with disabilities, and a woman came into me and I said she wanted to be a nurse. And I said, gee, sure, we can do that. Well, she went on to go from nursing to alternative health, and now she has a PhD in that. And recently she said in this group we were in, I was the first person who told her she could do something, instead of everybody saying she couldn't because she was a high school dropout because of pregnancy, she had to take her GED, she had a learning disability.
And she got a PhD. Wow.
So, again, she said she didn't know what to do. Oh, she's not objecting or telling me it's not a good idea, but I supported her.
Thank you for that. That's just touching. And it still touches you very deeply.
Well, you just think about how people are put down instead of being encouraged, and the tremendous amount of potential is out there.
have a relatively new women's fund as part of our community foundation in Wilmer. And the community foundation is probably 15 years old. The women's fund is about 4. And when I was on the board of the foundation, and the big sister fund is in St. Cloud, it's the Central Minnesota Foundation. They have a really active, really strongly funded women's fund there. And the staff person who meets with us encouraged us to start something like that. Well, I think there might have been one other woman on the board of directors of our foundation. And so when we brought it up with the staff person's encouragement, guys were okay with that. You know, they thought, well, that may be a way to encourage women philanthropy, and they give to the regular foundation, general fund or whatever. So when we had meetings among women in the county to see if we thought there were resources and interest for that. And then the foundation wrote a grant to the Bremer Fund for their own, you know, contributions, and they put in something for the women's fund with our encouragement, and so they were going to give us $25,000 of the $400,000 or whatever that they hoped they were getting, and then we asked them, but we had to match it, and we said, well, what if we matched 50? Could we have 50? And they just laughed. And then we were bits and pieces growing the money. And then one of the older ladies in our community gave us $50,000.
Oh my
So we had the last laugh, you know, we started out with $100,000 after 2 years of funding, you know. And that was just, it was really great because for one thing, we were such a minority and they just knew we couldn't do that, you know, so it was really fun.
There are stories like that, you know, in your own life, you have to tell. Sometimes it takes a bit of encouragement to bring those out.
Good luck.
They are worth it. They're worth it. So appreciative inquiry, I hope that becomes a part of the way that your vernacular is as you are working and growing as a coach. So,
I have to excuse myself to my less fun activity.
well, now think about the positive outcomes.
Yeah, right.
But I'll be back.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you wanted me to do this, and this was a good time to share a peek, because as we were talking about, a peek came from, and I might have sent this one on to Sherry, I don't know, but one of our league members sent me a note after the recent vote for gay marriage in Minnesota, stating that in our local newspaper, our long-term House representative voted for it because of his work with the league.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, it would be Mr. Gene Kowalski, and he was president of our league before he ran for public office many, many years ago.
Wow.
And as we know, there's been few male presidents throughout the state of Minnesota. So interestingly enough, I thought that probably the base of his thing, knowing his personal life, was probably not for supporting, quote, gay marriage, but supporting diversity, equality, social justice. That's the kind of person he is. So I'm just guessing, but I haven't seen him yet because, you know, they're still working.
Wow.
But I will thank him personally next time we're about Winona.
Thanks for sharing.
Do we have just a minute or two for her to introduce herself?
Oh, sure.
Is that okay?
Lynn Foyer, Winona League, current chair, still looking for a co-chair, but we're working on 2 people. You know, so it's like we're trying to do
New
it.
skills, new ways
skills.
to do it, yes.
And,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name.
Lynn Foyer,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm from Winona State
Oh.
unit. And we have a membership now of 22 members. So we just kind of hold and pattern, you know. Election years, you always gain the people who want to be active on issues. And then the next year, you know, so, but we were 24, so now we're back to 22. So that's not terrible. And there's always more folks out there. And under that law, exactly what you were saying, Florence, that experience of being chair. I've had it a long time now, but I've had some co-chairs over the past 9 years. And we keep looking to expand that. But we have stellar people. I mean, they'll go out of their way and they'll expand and do things within their own expertise. And so the woman who called me, her name is Ruth Charles, and she's a social work professor at Winona State University. I've never asked because she's never touted it. I'm sure she has a PhD, but she's never used that as, anything to, be one-upsmanship or anything. But very active young lady. And so she will go out and beyond at some of our positions, and so she helped organize a statewide conference on the whole issue again of defeating the amendments this year for voters ID in particular, and worked with Sherry on that. And I just think that was stellar. They reached, I think, 10 hookups statewide at state colleges. So I think that was the peak experience in this past year. And how was I supported? She just kept me informed as she kept growing and doing this thing, and I'd say, well, just let me know what's going on. If you need some help, let me know. But, it's good that when we have leadership within our league that will just go and start working on it and do it. You don't have to ask them twice. So,
Thanks, Lynn.
That's all, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and next we'll go on to Miriam with the role of the coach.
Miriam, I'm going to ask you to pause so I can move this.
All right,
This would be a good time to fill that cup with coffee.
that's
and
right. Fill that up,
Get 'em.
stay awake.
Get a muffin, they can start getting muffins now if they want.
Sure.
Have a snack, eat a snack.
Oh, you guys, you just have to get these muffins. It would be a positive thing for Carter to know you got it.
And Tracy, our coach, has arrived in Minneapolis, so.
Okay, good.
Her husband, Carter, Dean is out picking her up.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yes. Carter deserves like a reward.
We haven't had any more emergency calls, so they must have connected, thankfully.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay,